Good evening and thank you for joining us. It's a big development for the Marathon area. The environmental assessment for an open pit palladium and copper mine has been approved by a joint federal and provincial panel.
The decision means that Generation Mining can now move forward with the project, and company officials tell TBT News that the mine could be in production as soon as 2025. Lee Noonan reports.
Officials with Generation Mining say local support, particularly from Bigtigong Nishnabeg and the town of Marathon, was key to getting the environmental assessment approved.
It's a huge milestone for the company. It is the key permit that we need to hopefully begin construction in the first quarter of 2023.
Marathon Mayor Rick Dumas calls it a great day for the town and the region. He's anticipating a serious economic boost for the area.
This is now going to bring the stability for our children and future economic growth in our communities. So exciting times, and it's going to make life a lot easier.
In the construction, there's probably north of 900 construction jobs that are being available, and for operation, there's about 375 to let's say 425 full-time jobs. So it's not an insignificant project.
The next steps for the company are to secure a financial investment decision and a trio of provincial permits that they expect will be approved early in the new year. If everything lines up, they could begin clearing trees this spring at the mine site, located about 10 kilometers north of Marathon. The palladium, copper, and platinum deposits identified at the site are all considered critical to the production of electric vehicles and other modern technologies.
And this is a good story for Ontario, for the critical metal strategy. It is a good outcome for the federal Canadian governments as they have a mandate to support critical metals. The province of Ontario and the federal government, we work very well together, and now we're going to have the next critical metal mine built in Canada.
The environmental assessment comes with 269 legally binding conditions to protect the environment, including waterways and at-risk species. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
A second suspect in a Thunder Bay homicide from 2 years ago pleaded guilty to manslaughter today. The incident occurred in August of 2020 in the industrial section of Main Street. The body of 31-year-old Christopher Misatawa-Gisik was found by a passerby who called 911. Two people were arrested a few days later. 31-year-old Kenneth Leighton Muñez and 33-year-old Natalie Roseanne Muñez were both charged with second-degree murder. Today, Natalie Muñez pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter and was sentenced to 9 years in prison. But with credit for time served, she'll spend about 5.5 more years in custody. Her co-accused, Kenneth Muñez, also pleaded guilty to manslaughter in early November. His sentencing will happen later this month.
2 people have now been arrested in connection with the murder of a Whitefish Bay First Nation man earlier this year. OPP and Treaty 3 police have charged 29-year-old Timothy Lowe, also of Whitefish Bay, with second-degree murder. The other suspect, 23-year-old Sierra Cowley of Kenora, has been charged with accessory after the fact. 45-year-old Buford Cowley was reported missing on September 4th. Treaty 3 police enlisted the help of the Northwest Region OPP and their K-9 unit, and Cowley's remains were located the next day in the bush on the Northwest Angle 33 First Nation, located on the other side of Whitefish Bay. The 2 suspects have also been charged with committing an indignity to human remains.
More controversy today surrounding the Ford government and its bill to cap public sector wages. The Premier faced cameras for the first time since an Ontario court struck down the legislation. Siobhan Morris has the story.
Kill that bill! Kill that bill!
The Premier is determined to fight a court decision that declared the wage capping Bill 124 unconstitutional.
It was a very interesting verdict, to say the least, but that's about as far as I can comment on that. I think we just look forward to the Court of Appeal.
If the justice system doesn't side with the government, will they reach for the notwithstanding clause?
No, I want to go through the process, and I always believe in treating people fairly.
Opposition parties don't think hanging on to Bill 124 does that.
He's clung to the thing. He's stubbornly, pig-headedly clung to the thing. And when you're competing for talent, It's stupid.
The province is trumpeting the registration of 14,000 nurses so far this year.
The numbers actually show that we have more nurses working in the hospital sector, in the public health units, in primary care.
The NDP says that's only half the story.
You can go on the website of the 142 hospital corporations in Ontario, and if you take the time, you will count 45,000 job vacancies for which they are trying to recruit.
The head of Toronto's University Health Network says they typically have about 200 nursing vacancies. At worst, they hit 600. Right now, about 400 nursing jobs are open.
We have not seen a mass quote-unquote exodus. We have seen more people in higher acuity areas who've been very stressed, like ICUs and other domains, looking at working in lower acuity areas.
The government is offering millions of dollars to cover tuition for nurses to train to work in critical care to fill gaps across the province.
Ontario's Minister of Labour apologized yesterday for the harm suffered by miners who became ill after inhaling a form of powdered aluminum they were told would protect them. The apology comes 43 years after the last use of McIntyre powder in an Ontario mine.
This tragedy should not have happened to you. It should not have happened to your loved ones. And to each and every one of you, on behalf of the people of Ontario, we are truly sorry. Today, Mr. Speaker, I ask my colleagues to stand with me to honor and remember the victims of this tragedy. Thank you.
From 1942 until 1979, the aluminum substance called McIntyre powder was used as a treatment to protect miners' lungs. The first signs the treatment could be dangerous arose in the 40s. But it wasn't until this past spring that the WSIB announced it would automatically approve Parkinson's claims relating to McIntyre powder. Hugh Carlson of Red Lake was exposed to the substance in the 1960s. His WSIB claim for sarcoidosis was denied, and he's now filed an appeal.
The main thing from this apology is got to be what goes forward from here. We all know the history and change it. The future is what's important.
I would like to see this as a signal that it should not be this hard for people to be believed when they are being poisoned. It should be the role of the WSIB to support workers and not be looking for reasons to deny their claims.
Bourgeois and Carlson both want to see changes to the WSIB that would make it easier for future claimants to get support for occupational illness.
A huge milestone for the Thunder Bay and District Humane Society. Its low-cost clinic on Roslyn Road has completed 10,000 spay and neuter surgeries. That's a big step to help control pet overpopulation in the region, with the clinic preventing hundreds of thousands of unplanned offspring. Vasilios Bellos has the story.
An important achievement for the local Humane Society, which has now carried out 10,000 spay-neuter surgeries at their low-cost clinic, averaging about 18 a day. The clinic was opened in January of 2019, and it's estimated the work done has prevented 360,000 unplanned offspring. The clinic is all thanks to PetSmart Charities of Canada, which provided $300,000 to open it. The Humane Society's Shauna Beaulieu says this is an incredible milestone for them, considering how important it is to control the pet population.
30% of the animals that come into our care is because they are unwanted litters. That's huge. So that's why we prioritize spay-neuter. With the shortage of veterinarians that we have, even more so proves that we need to get the animal overpopulation under control, and that's why we put so much effort and resources towards our low-cost spay and neuter program.
The 10,000 surgeries are from more than just the general public, with the Humane Society also supporting many rescue groups in the area. And while officials are celebrating the milestone, there's also expressing concern about a drop in adoptions, with even more animals on their way. Beaulieu says it starts as simply as giving them a call or filling out an online form, and with their low-cost clinic, pet owners can have peace of mind knowing their animal is spayed or neutered.
We will do our best to find you an animal. Likely, with all the animals that we see come in, we'll have a good fit. And then next week, we're going to get a huge influx in cat. I think we have about 37 cats coming in, cats and kittens that are going to need a home. So if you're looking to adopt, now is certainly the time.
To mark the spay-neuter milestone, the Humane Society has launched a fundraising campaign for their low-cost clinic, hoping to raise $10,000 by year's end. Vasilios Bellows, TBT News.
Thunder Bay Police are thanking the public for their assistance after an arrest was finally made in connection with a break and enter and vandalism at a local church this past summer. The incident occurred in late July at Corpus Christi Catholic Church on Red River Road. Police believe the damage done to the altar was meant to disturb churchgoers. City Police released this surveillance video of the potential suspect earlier this month in hopes of moving the investigation forward. And now, a 43-year-old Thunder Bay man has been arrested by City Police. He's been charged with break and enter while committing an indictable offense.
2 years of lockdowns affected everyone in different ways, but the elderly were arguably hit the hardest during the pandemic. Not only did seniors experience the worst symptoms of COVID, but avoiding it meant extended periods of isolation from loved ones. Fortunately, many of them found new ways to cope, and those stories have now inspired the Places and Faces campaign. Mike Lang reports.
For the first time in almost 3 years, it's easier for seniors to be visited by family, friends, and loved ones, but also each other. The Places and Faces project, organized by Age Big, had 7 older adults selected to share how they found things that made them happy during the pandemic. This 3-day workshop at the Thunder Bay Museum is helping condense their stories to around 300 words, which will then be turned into short videos to be displayed in the museum. Age Big founder Nancy Angus gave a few more examples of how the storytellers found their happy places.
One person's car was meaningful to her because she was able to take road trips to visit her family in Saskatchewan. And what at first was an adversity, it became a joy to her about discovering different places along that trip and having the wonderful family to visit at the end. Other people have talked about discovering new places in Thunder Bay. For example, conservation areas where they were able to see kite sailing for the first time and people like taking advantage of Lake Superior in a different way. Another person talks about his walking every day and how he's discovered a blue jay that's made an impact to him, where he hasn't seen one in over 50 years.
Angus added that the stories from this week's workshop will be available on the museum's website, and they will be formally launched at an in-person gala in March.
And that's what I'm really excited about being with the museum to do this project, is bringing people together so that we can create something, friendships today and stories for tomorrow. This is an incredible experience to be here in a historic building, a place that means so much to so many people, and creating something here, brand new pieces of information for the museum.
Mike Lang, TBT News.
Around 100 local high school students got to attend a presentation today from Brandy Morin, an award-winning journalist and author. Morin specializes in sharing Indigenous stories. During her talk with the students, she discussed the importance of Indigenous representation in the media and recognizing Canada's history with First Nations. Morin says it's important to educate the younger generations on these topics because she believes they're the ones that can affect serious change.
They are our future, and they are a new generation, and I think that they are more equipped and open than any other generation to really take action in order to create a more equitable, society and country for us all.
A separate event open to the public is being hosted by Morin this evening at the Bora Laskin Faculty of Law building.
Volunteers with T-Baytel were out spreading Christmas cheer this afternoon as the company kicked off its annual 12 Days of Christmas campaign at the Salvation Army's Journey to Life Center. Since 2015, the T-Baytel campaign has recognized deserving nonprofit organizations and people across the Northwest by surprising them with good deeds or donations. Today, T-Baytel employees tied on their aprons and got to work preparing meals for the Salvation Army's soup van. T-Baytel spokesperson Jamie Smith says they plan to help a different nonprofit each day until December 12th, and he says the campaign is a yearly favorite among employees.
So I think it's
really important for us to show that we care and that we want to give back to our neighborhood, but also, it just, that little bit of kindness, you never know the ripple effect that can occur when you do something nice for somebody. So yeah, I think for our community in general, it's pretty important at this time of year.
I think it's great. I think the work that Tibet Health is doing with other organizations as well in our community, it's fantastic. It's great, especially at this time of year when people need more.
Local skaters will be able to enjoy a favorite winter pastime starting tomorrow, as the skating rink at Prince Arthur's Landing will officially open to the public. The Zamboni was hard at work this morning getting the ice surface ready. Community event coordinator with the City of Thunder Bay, Catherine Wilson, says the ice conditions are ideal following the recent dip in temperatures, but she urges all visitors to layer up before getting out on the rink.
Users are encouraged to come prepared and dress accordingly. Additional benches will be placed around the skating pad, and there's a portable washroom that's available, and there's an outdoor fireplace that's available for a cozy warming station, as well as outdoor lighting and music to enhance the user experience.
The rink will be open 7 days a week from noon until 8 p.m. and city officials say they plan to start flooding the boarded rinks around the city next week in hopes of having them ready to be open by the 3rd week of December.
Well, Fiona, it's always a good time for those who enjoy the winter months when the rink at Prince Arthur's Landing finally opens. How will the conditions be on that rink over the next few days?
Well, tomorrow a little iffy, but after that, Mother Nature's going to take care of keeping things nice and frozen, I can definitely say. Certainly did last night, a low of -11, wind chills of -18 today. We warmed up to -3. And for those of you who are kind of bemoaning these below freezing temperatures, this is bang on for this time of year. -3 high is what we should be seeing. The nice thing was, though, the winds were nowhere near what we saw yesterday, much calmer, 9 to 15 kilometers per hour. To the west, they also saw the winds drop. They're currently at 7, clear skies. The snow has moved out, wind chills making it feel just a few degrees cooler. As we head further north, there is a little bit of light snow still affecting Red Lake, pushing through from the north. They're currently at -10, wind chills a little closer to about -16 at this time. It warms up as you head eastward into Sioux Lookout at -7, -8 in Armstrong, and -7 in Greenstone. They had a few periods of light snow right now, cloudy skies, and wind chills of about -14. Marathon currently at -5. And Sault Ste. Marie, they had winds gusting 78 kilometers an hour overnight last night. Right now, much more calm. -1, wind chills almost non-existent, and skies are clear, so no blowing snow or falling snow. Now, here in the City of Thunder Bay tonight, we will drop just barely, if at all. -6 Celsius is going to be our low under cloudy skies. But as the night progresses, especially after midnight, temperatures are expected to be rising, and any wind that we have that starts out at about 32 kilometers per hour is also going to be dropping off. So things are going to be calming down. So wind chill, not really a factor. However, we have that second wave of snow moving in from the south, and it's going to push in during the day tomorrow, hitting Thunder Bay by late in the afternoon, early evening, and that could drop a few centimeters on us overnight. I'll have more details on what that will do to your weekend plans later on in the news hour.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. Well, it's been an exciting time for Canadian soccer fans, with the men's team making the World Cup for the first time in 36 years. Well, that World Cup journey came to an end today, and although Team Canada didn't get a win, there's still plenty to be proud of. We'll have all the details as your Thursday News Hour continues.
I'm proud of what these lads have shown here.